Hi everyone.
Hi.
In this episode, we're going to talk about the 5 hardest things that we've had to cut out of our budget. So if you followed along in one of our previous episodes, you have a pretty good idea of what we currently budget for, but you don't know exactly what we used to budget for that we no longer do. And so we're going to go from easiest to hardest things that we had to cut out of this new budget.
Number 5 is furniture. This used to be a category that we had in our budget, but we decided to cut it out because our home is fully furnished. If that's the case with your home, this is not the time to do furniture upgrades. There are plenty of things that we'd like to have, like a new dining table, a sitting chair for upstairs, but we decided that it's more important to save that money for the time being and go with what we have.
Furniture is a pretty big expense if you're going to buy something brand new. You can find some pretty reasonable deals on Craigslist or inheriting from some family, but for the most part, if you're going to furnish your house the way that you want it to be furnished, it's going to be a pretty big expense. And so we want you to be able to hang on to that money, put it towards your debt, and you can always upgrade later when you're not having all of this interest that you're having to pay. All right, so number 4 is a vacation fund. We used to, in the past, we've put money aside for trying to save up for a vacation, and we don't do that anymore. There's a couple of reasons that we don't do that. Vacations are really expensive, and for us in particular, as we had talked about for our dogs in the last episode, boarding our dogs and making sure our dogs are cared for when we're away is one of our largest expenses. We make sure that our trips that we take are day trips so that we don't have to have somebody watch our dogs for us.
If we really do need to be away for a night or more, I luckily get some hotel points because of traveling for my job, so that comes in handy, but in general, we limit those trips a lot.
It's a plan for us that once we're done paying off our student loan debt, we are intending on taking the nicest of vacations. So that's something we have to look forward to, and we know that there's going to be time to travel once this debt is off our shoulders.
Number 3 is our miscellaneous fund. We are removing that from our budget. In the past, we had about $100 saved up in that category that we just used for any unaccounted for expenses. That was basically $100 that had no purpose, but that we were losing every single month. So this year and the next year and a half after, we're going to plan better so that we don't have miscellaneous expenses, and it's going to help force us really to be accountable.
So an example of some miscellaneous expenses would be parking. When we go to a restaurant that's downtown, we'd have to pay a meter to park there, and that would be something that now we would just account that in our restaurant budget because that's part of the cost of eating out. Now, instead of that going into some other random category, it goes into our restaurant fund, and that, again, holds us more accountable, and we have to plan ahead a little better. The second hardest thing that we had to cut out of this budget is a clothing fund. So in the past, we have basically shared some clothing money. We'll put $40, $50 in a month, and that would account for all of our clothing throughout the year. We don't do that anymore because we actually will use our pocket money for doing that. And that makes it to where a shared fund, there's not going to be any sort of argument over, oh, you spent more than I did, or I spent more than you did, or anything like that. But also the fact that it's our pocket money and things that we could be spending on other things that we want, that makes us look for better deals. It makes us want to stretch our money a little bit further.
So now we're only buying things that we know we really need. For example, if I need new work shoes, that's something that comes up at least once a year. I'll spend money on that, but like you said, I look for a good deal, something that will last long, that's quality, and we're not spending just random few dollars on a new shirt that we don't need. Number 1 is our gift fund. We were previously spending about over $100 a month on gifts throughout the year.
On average.
That usually weren't very personal. They were more for just the sake of giving a gift. And so now we decided that we still probably will give some gifts, but they're gonna need to be a lot more intentional, personal, something that we really wanna give and we're giving from the heart. So those expenses are going to come from our pocket money, or they're going to be something that's handmade or even free, like our time or helping somebody out.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's tough because come Christmas season, we're not going to be giving a whole lot of different gifts. And when Mary mentioned that we spend about $100 a month, that comes over the course of the year. So obviously the majority of that, $1,200 a year, is coming around the Christmas time. We'll be going places and visiting with family, and we're not really going to be giving a lot of gifts. And so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but again, as Mary talked about, we want to be a lot more intentional and not just give somebody something that they may or may not use or find useful or even really care about. Yeah, exactly, out of obligation. This is going to help us out tremendously too if we have $1,200+ per year to give towards our student loans. So that's it. Those are the top 5 things that we had to cut out of our budget that we found challenging. My challenge to you would be take a look at your budget and see if there's anything that would be tough but doable to cut out, and see if you can put that extra money towards paying off your debt.
Good luck. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't like to give you the compliment and say, but let's throw that compliment out the window because you suck.
Well, you just don't say but.
There's an opportunity to do better.